frankly, both parties, as we move towards the post-Trump era, are having identity crisis. Like, what do we stand for? What do we believe in? And it's going to play out on this canvas of Mayor Mamdani in part because he may represent a possible future for the party.
Now, the Democratic politician Zohran Mamdani has been sworn in as the first Muslim mayor of New York City.
And now, please welcome Mayor Zohran Mamdani and First Lady Rama Duwaji.
I, Zohran Mamdani.
I, Zohran Mamdani.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
The Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Charter of the City of New York.
And the Charter of the City of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the office of the Mayor of the City of New York.
Of the office of the Mayor of the City of New York.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God. My fellow New Yorkers, today begins a new era. I stand before you, moved by the privilege of taking this sacred oath, humbled by the faith that you have placed in me, and honored to serve as either your 111th or 112th mayor of New York City. But I do not stand alone. I stand alongside you, the tens of thousands of you gathered here in Lower Manhattan, warmed against the January chill by the resurgent flame of hope. I stand alongside countless more New Yorkers watching from cramped kitchens in Flushing and barbershops in East New York, from cell phones propped against the dashboards of parked taxicabs at LaGuardia, from hospitals in Mott Haven and libraries in El Barrio. Regardless of whether we agree, I will protect you, celebrate with you, mourn alongside you, and never, not for a second, hide from you. Thank you to my parents, Mama and Baba, for raising me, for teaching me how to be in this world, and for having brought me to this city. Thank you to my family from Kampala to Delhi. And thank you to my wife, Rama. For being my best friend and for always showing me the beauty in everyday things. And most of all, thank you to the people of New York.
Well, earlier this afternoon, Mayor Mamdani had a larger ceremonial event with allies Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in attendance. I wonder if Jim Kennedy was there. He's a former Democrat strategist and former Clinton advisor. And Jim, you're a New York local. Were you celebrating like the majority of the people at that event appeared to be?
Well, I'm here in Hell's Kitchen, but it's a little cold to go outside, so I was in the warmth of the apartment.
All right. What did you take from both the tone and content of Mayor Mamdani's address? And he said, look, I was elected as a democratic socialist and I will govern as a democratic socialist. And he said some people told him to tone down his expected remarks to manage expectations. But he said, no, we're going to govern audaciously. Now, some Democrat supporters who feel the Dems have been on their knees for far too long are saying this is exactly what we need. What do you say?
Yeah, some do. And I think the most telling line is when Mayor Mamdani said he wanted to replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. That sounds like a line from The Joining on the TV show Pluribus and is a little ominous. And if he goes too far in that direction, I think it's problematic. And I do think Republicans are going to try to make him into a poster child of what Democrats stand for. He needs to fight against that by moving towards the middle if he can, but he said today he won't. So we'll see.
Okay, well, people campaign in poetry and govern in prose, and former Governor Cuomo, I think, issued that memorable quote, which Mamdani himself likes to use. If he wants to pivot to the centre, which of his key items do you think he'll have to drop? Because let's remind people what they are: free childcare, free buses, a rent freeze for about 1 million households, and a pilot of city-run grocery stores. What do you think?
Well, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Now, he says he's going to, tax the wealthy, but I think he really needs to crack down on fat rats, not just fat cats, because you can only squeeze the wealthy for so much, and you're going to end up taxing the middle class, and you're going to end up costing jobs. If you raise the minimum wage up to like $30 an hour, that's going to lead to layoffs. And if you raise the taxes too high, then people will just move elsewhere, and then you're going to cut your tax base. So that's kind of a lose-lose proposition. He needs to temper some of those on the shores of reality, and I think that's what's going to happen in the coming weeks.
Well, you're a former Democrat strategist. You supervise the Clintons. How widely would you say your concern, your skepticism is shared among veterans like yourself?
Yeah, I think the party is having, a real identity crisis. Frankly, both parties, as we move towards the post-Trump era, are having identity crisis. Like, what do we stand for? What do we believe in? And it's going to play out on this canvas of Mayor Mamdani in part because he may represent a possible future for the party. I don't think it's a winning strategy for the country. It certainly was in the short term for New York. But I think that's one of the things we as Democrats are going to have to confront. Are we going to be irrational moderates, or are we going to be more radical socialists? And I think the latter course would be ruinous, and not only for the party, but for the country. I think socialist policies, they all sound great. They're all filled with, hope and promise and gauzy words. But when you hit the reality, it doesn't really work.
Well, that's an American view. Over here, what you might call socialism is just basic centrism. How far do you think he can go? What do you think the low-hanging fruit might be? Because if you can look at some of the most successful countries here in this part of the world, often the Nordic countries like Finland and Sweden, Denmark, etc., their policies are well to the left of what would be considered reasonable in the States, but they're some of the most prosperous and happiest countries in the world.
Yeah, I think the reality is, though, that the policies have to be geared towards quality of life. People here in New York are going to measure his success by the economy, by housing prices and availability, and quality of life, including crime and safety. Crime, thankfully, has been going down lately. People are going to watch closely to see if that goes back up. But if you go into a CVS store, it feels like going to Tiffany's. Everything is locked up, but a bottle of Excedrin is really not like a rare jewelry. You need to liberate these stores and liberate the economy so that people can create jobs and enjoy life. I think he's going to be measured against those metrics.
Jim, how confident are you of staying in New York under a Mamdani mayoralty? Are you making plans to leave, or are you going to just say, hey, I'm a New Yorker, I'm going to take the rough with the smooth?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm in a lucky position that I have a choice. A lot of New Yorkers don't have a choice. They really need to be here, want to be here, and can't easily move. And so I worry about their future more than my own. And that's where I think his focus should be, is broadening the base of opportunity and not just playing rich against poor.
Well, let's see what he does, okay? He campaigned with poetry. Let's see how he governs in prose. Jim Kennedy, former Democrat strategist and former Clinton advisor, New York local, thank you very much. Indeed, no plans to leave yet. Nafisa says, who says true journalism is dead? Listening to your program always gives me hope. People should listen to Times Radio.